Hi everyone, welcome to today's video where I'm talking about my experience getting COVID-19 while being 9 months pregnant. I'm still pregnant. I don't know if you can see that. Oh yeah, you can definitely see that. But I am ready to pop. I'm 39 weeks and 5 days, and I got COVID when I was at the end of 36 weeks, 37 weeks, and then it lasted for a couple weeks. So I wanted to go through, talk about my symptoms. Thankfully, I'm feeling so much better, like 95% better. So if I had to go into labor with that cough or with those breathing issues, like that would have been such a nightmare, like so difficult. So thankfully I'm feeling better. And my husband and baby also got it. I have a 19-month-old. She got it the worst of all of us, to actually, like, surprisingly, because everyone says how the young kids don't get it as bad. I was so surprised that she had it so bad. She just really struggled with it. But she's also fine, thank goodness. I'm also out of breath, probably a little from the COVID, but mostly from being 9 months pregnant. My due date's in 2 days, so that's exciting. We get to meet our little girl soon. But yeah, if you're new around here, hey, I'm Connelly. Like and subscribe for more content like this, and I hope to see you around. But yeah, let's jump right into it. So I'm looking at my notes here. I took notes on which days I had which symptoms, because I was like, if this is COVID, I want to remember and be able to speak to it. And just a tiny bit more background. I have asthma. I'm pregnant, and I'm just like really nervous about what the long-term consequences of COVID-19 are. My brother-in-law's father passed away of COVID earlier this year, and I took every precaution. I barely left the house. We have groceries delivered. My husband and I both work from home. We had one person who was also quarantining, taking care of our 19-month-old while we were working. So we had such limited exposure. My husband went to the hardware store and the gas station, and I went to like 1 or 2 errands that I had to run, like things that were kind of unavoidable, and my OB appointments. And always wore a mask, sometimes wore gloves, always sanitized my hands, always washed my hands as soon as I got home. Like, I don't know what we could have done differently to avoid it. Like, this must spread so easily is all I'm saying. So if you are someone who has high risk potential, you need to be really, really, really careful and just stay home. Like, have someone run your errands if that's even possible for you. But with that, we'll jump right into the symptoms. So the first day was Saturday, and I was just super tired, and I took a nap. And that was my first symptom, because I never take naps. Even as a child, I didn't nap. I couldn't. I remember one time my daycare lady came in. She's like, "You haven't fallen asleep?" Or she was like, "You're already awake?" I was like, I never fall asleep. Like, you just put me in here and I just like lay here and look at the ceiling. Like, yeah. So I've never napped, so that was really weird. Sunday, next day, day 2, I woke up with a super hard, dry cough. I mean, it was like boom, bang, sick. Just like all of a sudden out of nowhere, I had this horrible cough. And it's fall, so it wasn't a time that there was a lot of allergens for me in the air. I guess the weather was turning, so I kind of thought, okay, sometimes the cold weather can trigger my asthma a little bit, but this was something different. And I took my inhaler and it didn't help, which is really weird. I was out of breath. Like, I could hardly finish a walk we took that day, which is really not normal for me. And we walk almost every day, and I like could not get up this tiny little hill. Like, it was embarrassing. I'm already looking funny enough walking around so pregnant, but yeah, then I like couldn't do that hill. I was a little bit lightheaded, and I had some tiny muscle aches. Oh yeah, and then that morning I actually got sick. Like, I threw up. So yeah, that was my first indication. I was like, oh no, this isn't good. This is not good. That's when I really started thinking, okay, this could be COVID-19. On day 3, Monday, I woke up with a super, super, super sore throat. Like, it just hurt so bad. My 19-month-old started getting a fever that day. And she ended up having a fever for over 7 days, like 7 days straight of a fever. And finally it broke, but it was like on and off after that. I mean, she was so miserable. And then she had like a tiny little cough. So I just wanted to put that in there too. I had some congestion. My cough had actually already improved on this day. Like it's on Sunday, day 2, it just came on so strong. And then Monday, day 3, it was already like a little less intense. Day 4, Tuesday, woke up with super sore throat. Hurt so bad. I had puffy face and especially my eyes. Like my eyelids were like puffy. Like if I was gonna do eye makeup, I would have had like so much extra like material, like canvas to work on because they were huge. I'm joking now because it's like ridiculous, but they were huge. I just had low energy. Again, that's so not like me. I had tongue pain, so it felt like I had burned my tongue, but I hadn't. It was really weird. Very congested. I had a cough. Again, it was like not as bad as it was on Sunday. My eyelids were just tired. And then I had baby pains but my stomach was like tightening, like not contractions, not cramps, but it was like the baby inside of me was trying to go like inward. Like it just was really tight and painful, and I was really nervous about her. So I did get tested on day 4, Tuesday, day 4. Ava, my 19-month-old, also just like continued with her small cough and fever. Day 5 was Wednesday. That day I woke up with a sore throat, more puffy eyes, really tired. Like I was more tired with COVID-19 than I was when I had mono. Like I was so exhausted, okay? Again, so not like me. Even though I'm pregnant, like this is my second pregnancy, so I had experienced the first one. Like it was not like pregnancy tired. It was like a whole different kind of tired. I had that weird tongue pain again. Like I had been burned and I hadn't been. Ear pain. Now this really was rough. I had a cough, but again, it was already like improving. So it was even less than the previous days. I was so congested and I had a terrible headache. I was like dizzy and my glands were really enlarged, inflamed, and irritated and just like painful to the touch. And when I ate or drank something, it was like painful. Oh, and by the way, on Wednesday, day 5 of symptoms, it got the result that I tested positive. So then I knew, which maybe made things worse in my head. I'm not really sure. I woke up with like a head cold or a head flu. It was so painful that night. Whatever side I was laying on, because when you're pregnant, you can't lay on your back. I couldn't breathe if I was going to try to lay on my back. But whatever side I was on, like all the congestion went to that side. Like it was just painful. I had to keep switching and then it would like happen again. So it was like it was just like one side would be totally congested and painful, like headache, nose ache, like couldn't breathe through one side, just ear ache, like everything. So there was that headache. That day I lost my sense of taste and smell. So that was day 6. Do you know how bad that is to lose your sense of taste when you're pregnant? Not just pregnant, but like 9 months pregnant. It's a nightmare. I shouldn't joke about that because this is a serious illness, but I just want to share what I experienced via COVID during pregnancy. I had muscle aches, ear pain, a hard time kind of popping my ears, and I had a virtual OB appointment that day, a virtual baby doctor appointment, and I have a at-home blood pressure monitor, and my blood pressure was so high I couldn't get it down, and then like maybe 10 minutes later I took another one and finally it came down, but it spiked. It was like all over, it was like high, like all over the place, and then it like came down. So I don't know if that was COVID or just a weird thing of pregnancy. Hasn't happened again since, but something I wanted to note here. I've never had high blood pressure, by the way, so that was really bizarre. My cough persisted, but was still less than that first day it came on. My legs were tired. Like I had achy legs. When I laid down, it felt like I had run a half marathon or something. Like it was just really weird pain in them. Fatigue, so tired. And I would say day 6, 7, 8 were my peak days. So just to give you a heads up, these are my peak days. So day 7 was Friday, and Again, Ava is still sick with a fever. I woke up feeling just bad. My glands and ears hurt to pop. I was tired, had that head cold, still no taste or smell. Actually, at day 8, I wrote, I woke up feeling slightly better, so I must have been like on the incline here. Head cold, no taste or smell, super tired, had a cough, heart rate was like a rapid pace. Oh, I had heart palpitations that day. That was really scary. Thank goodness it was just one episode of that, but I mean, being pregnant, I'm so worried already about the health of my unborn baby, and then to have heart palpitations, it's like, and I know that that can be a symptom of pregnancy because you're pumping more blood has to go to the placenta and the baby and all of that stuff, but like with everything else going on, just not a good symptom. Yeah, no taste or smell. Okay, so also that day, I was lightheaded and I had more of that weird stomach pain with the baby. I can't really, it's weird to explain, but it was like tightness in there, but not a contraction, not a cramp, but painful. Don't know. I also got sick that day, like threw up, got sick. Day 9, Sunday, woke up with just a tiny sore throat, so that was improved. I was still stuffy and I had a slight cough, but everything else was improved. I was like a tiny bit lightheaded, and I had about 2% taste back and like 2% smell back. So I wrote that down because I was testing by smelling this like candle we have, and I couldn't smell it, and then finally I could smell like a tiny bit, but you really don't realize how much you depend on your sense of smell for like cooking. I burned some stuff on the stove because I just couldn't smell it, didn't realize it was burning, and like changing my daughter's diaper and stuff. Like you rely on your sense of smell so much. It's crazy when you lose it, how much you realize you take it for granted. That day, so day 9 for me, my daughter's fever spiked to 102.4. It had only been like 100.4 up to that point. She cried during her nap, and I think she might have had a night terror. And she just wouldn't eat. She wouldn't eat anything. She was drinking a bottle, thank goodness, but even that she wasn't drinking as much as normal. Day 10 and on, I had symptoms, but they were just less and less and less. So all of those same symptoms, but less. Except I wasn't like throwing up or anything like that. Like I said, Ava had her cough eventually went away, but she had that fever for over 7 days. They almost wanted us to come in because you just don't want little kids to have fevers that prolonged. My husband was sick until like 2 days ago, so that was like 3 weeks for him. Yeah, you just don't know how it's going to affect different people. So yeah, I'm so grateful that I don't have that horrible cough or the shortness of breath that I had, because when you give labor, so when you go into labor, when you are pushing and stuff, like that's a workout. You really need to have your breath. And I'm one of the good cases, I guess. Like right now I feel healthy enough to push out this baby in the next few days or weeks, whatever, whenever she comes. Yeah, and a couple things I wanted to share about having COVID when you're that pregnant is we had to quarantine, so we were already working from home, but then we didn't have childcare because my 70-year-old or almost 70-year-old mother was taking care of her. My mom tested negative, so she didn't have it. So we had to be sick, try to work from home. That didn't happen. I mean, I took like a week off, and then take care of the baby. So that was really, really challenging. And then on top of that, my OB wouldn't, like rightfully so, would only do virtual visits. So that far along in pregnancy, you typically are seen every week in person. They need to take your blood pressure. They need to check your vitals, make sure you're measuring on track. Like if you're really big or if you're really small, you need to make sure you have enough fluid in there. You know, like stuff can go wrong this late in pregnancy. So it is stressful to get it. Like I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say, oh, well, I turned out fine. So it was fine. It was very stressful. And even after we started feeling better, we didn't have childcare. So my husband and I were trying to like manage our toddler, who's very needy. You cannot work when she's home. Like, so we had to like have a schedule, him do her in the morning and I do her in the afternoon, and like just balance that. And then the other thing was we're gonna have to change which hospital I went to because I would need an ICU potentially if anything went wrong during labor with the COVID. So I had to like switch hospitals last minute. And the other thing was my husband was assumed positive, so if he was during his quarantine time, he wouldn't have been able to come to the hospital with me. Now that he's past that and his symptoms have improved, we're good. He can come now, but that would have really been sad if he would have not been able to see the birth of his daughter because we had COVID-19. Oh yeah, we like couldn't leave the house. So luckily we have groceries delivered. We're able to afford that. That wasn't a problem. But like, I just think about people who don't have that, or maybe they're older and they don't know, they aren't as good with the internet and things like that. Like, what do people in the community like that do? So my heart just really kind of goes out to people in that situation. Those are some of the things that I wanted to share about having COVID during pregnancy. Yeah, like I said, I turned out okay, thank goodness so far. We don't know what the long-term effects are, but right now I'm feeling good enough to like give birth. So yeah, that was my experience with COVID-19. Like I said, we were so careful. I'm not sure exactly what happened, how I got it, which is even more scary. Like, it must just, like I said, spread so easily and live on packages or live on groceries or spread so easy even through the masks and things. Like, you really need to be careful. So be careful, be safe. I turned out okay. I'll let you know after the baby's born how the baby's doing. And yeah, please like and subscribe so you don't miss that labor vlog I have coming up and to see the results of how the baby's doing. With that, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time. Bye!